you mentioned the idea of selling to Crockett, and Watts immediately says $2 million.
Yeah, it's right. I mean, boom, immediately. But we were in his office again, searching for solutions. You know, he needed cash. Cowboy, is he pronoun boy? And so I thought, well, here's an idea. And like I said, I wrote, you're either going to slap me or hug me.
Yeah.
Because it's probably one of the more viable ideas that we brainstormed about and come up with. Of all the things we've talked about, stock and this and events, whatever, this is probably the most likely thing that could happen, considering the lay of the land. And now Crockett has the opportunity to knock out one of his quote-unquote competitors and strengthen his syndicated television aspect component and acquire some quality talent, main event talent. Not everybody, but Sting was in that group. You know, not bad. By the way, I hear the tickets for Greensboro for Sting's last match are down there. I don't want to say they're sold out, but it's threatening a sellout. And I'm sure by long before showtime, it'll be sold out. How wonderful would that be? How wonderful would that be to see the Greensboro Coliseum full again?
For Sting's last match, yeah.
For Sting's last match.
Pretty amazing story.
Yeah, it's awesome. And, you know, my pipe dream selfishly would be that Shivani and I would call that match.
Absolutely. Me too.
Just like we did the original. So, or we're both alive and able. So, anyway, that's that.
At this point, when Cowboy hits you with the $2 million immediately, did you know in your heart, hey, he wants to be done with wrestling? I mean, did you think
that was a good price?
Yeah.
That really was for all you're getting. It was, and how you can monetize it going forward. It was a good price. I thought it was a negotiable price, one that's you're close to being able to close the deal. So I made sure he was sure about it, and you want to think about this? Because I said, I'm moving. I'm calling Crockett. And I think I reached out to Rob Garner, one of Crockett's right-hand businessmen. Nice guy.
Yeah, you wrote this in your book about that meeting. When I landed in Atlanta, Crockett and his right-hand man, Rob Garner, were waiting for me in a conference room at the terminal. There was no food ordered, no drinks had. It was just straight business. Neither Crockett nor Watts was setting the world on fire with their promotions, and I spent 20 minutes talking to Crockett and Garner about how both companies should come together if they wanted to continue to challenge Vince. In truth, I was trying to read the room and see just how big Crockett's appetite was for continuing to compete with McMahon. Because, you know, I said, as the meeting was coming to a close, if you weren't willing to team up, then Watts might think of selling. I could see on both men's faces that this news was of huge curiosity to them, not only because they might be interested in buying, but they knew that McMahon would be. Boy, this is chess right here. This ain't checkers. I like this, man.
Yeah, it was interesting times. They, you know, it was easy sell. Jimmy, and supported by Rob, Jimmy saw growth. Jimmy saw what I saw, potential. If you play your cards right and get your infrastructure in order with all these new stations and all these opportunities to expose talents in new areas, like we talked about, people like new. So we're offering something that's fresh and new in some of these places. So I thought he had a great vision for what we were talking about doing. But, you know, the key thing is there are two things about wrestling. The most important components of pro wrestling are talent and television. Television component we were putting together pretty good if he bought this network to add to what he already had. And it's Superstation. Pretty good, pretty attractive piece of business. And it lets you keep talent fresh. You have to have guys on TV every week, but there became the problem. When talents found out they weren't going to be on television, or they might not be on television, all hell broke loose. You know, if a UWF wrestler got accidentally backed into some promo time, the other guys got either double the time or significantly more. So, Dusty was under a lot of pressure from the boys who didn't want to lose their spot and felt pressure. I always thought that made everything better, competition, because some things you can't stop. You couldn't stop Sting's popularity growth, for example.
Well, let's talk about, the syndicated network. You've been growing that. Obviously, Crockett has too. Combining them is going to be of significant interest for Crockett. You wind up negotiating the deal with Crockett, and Watts would write that he wasn't smart enough in transactions to know to buy insurance for this deal. Meaning when Crockett goes broke and sells to Turner, he winds up not getting all of his money here. In hindsight, he wishes he would have thought of buying some sort of insurance policy against closing this sale. But
interesting.
How do you remember, the terms of this deal coming together? Is there a lot of back and forth? Are you speaking on behalf of Bill? Talk to us through the nitty gritty here.
No, I made my tag. I got my deal done. He wanted $2 million to sell the company. We accomplished that.
Yes.
As far as the intricacies of drawing up a contract, I never heard of insurance for a deal like that, which it makes sense. And I'm sure it's true, but it's foreign to me. But once the basic points were established, yes, it will be sold for $2 million. Once those things are established, I gracefully tagged out, because now you're getting into land of that I'm not familiar with. Hell, I'd give bad advice, or I just don't know. So I knew my role, as The Rock would say, and let Watts have and that's where I think that's where Jimmy and Bill then reconnected to work to finalize this whole thing. And I wasn't privy to those meetings by request. This was not my deal.